모두들 잘 지내고 계셨으면 좋겠지만 만약 조금이라도 괜찮지 않.
It's one thing to say that, you know, a very nice statement, but to deliver it with these eyes, you know, like I thought my eyes would believe it. My eyes are basically like the color of piss compared to his. Hello there, people. My name is Comedian. Let's keep it that way. Now, on the back of last week's, or the last video I did, which was the epic 2-hour-long Festa reaction. I'm out here making reactions matching some Hollywood blockbusters and getting paid a billionth of the take home of a blockbuster. I'm making good life decisions out here, people. But anyway, I did the Festa reaction, and you know, I'm sure if you're watching this video, you've probably heard about the Festa, or you've seen the Festa, or you've shared all of your bodily fluids. I speak English too. The Festa, it was, you know, a lot, but I came out of that, you know, actually quite uplifting, and really, once again, being proud of BTS for speaking out about important issues and mental health and creative burnout, all that stuff. And if you haven't seen my reaction to that, well, you're in the right place, my channel, so you can go and watch that after subscribing and watching this one, of course. Anyway, YouTube stuff. So now I said to my patrons, because this is Patron Thursdays, I'll get into that later. I said to my patrons, I want to watch something, you know, uplifting or like deep or emotional, something I can get my teeth into and just feel some feelings again. You know, Festa got me in that kind of mood. I feel like, not fully, but like, you know, I used to do loads and loads and loads of BTS reactions that were kind of very in-depth mental health kind of stuff, and I miss doing that. Obviously, I think it's good to kind of have a nice balance, because I did too many at one point, and sort of it became like, I think if you do like therapy every single second of every single day, like therapy's great, but if you did it every single second of every single day, then you would just become depressed, I think, by definition. You know, you got to give it a rest sometimes. But anyway, all of that word gibberish is to say, hopefully this video, which my lovely patrons have picked, BTS's comforting words to cheer you up, will be just that, something nice, but also, you know, uplifting, slightly deep, hopefully. I trust the BTS boys. They're mental health experts as far as I'm concerned. And the other expert I want to thank today is the user Wenslet from my patron for suggesting this. How did somebody from my patron suggest this, you ask? Well, let me answer, I'm telling you. Quiet now, I'm speaking. Is my patron, there's a thing on my patron every Thursday, guest on, called Patron Thursdays. And if you sign up for my patron, not only will you get Ram BTS reactions, Bon Voyage reactions, pictures of my rabbits sometimes, pictures of me, even less times, luckily, early access, all that kind of stuff, you can be in the credits. But one of the big attractions is Patron for Thursdays, where you can suggest some suggestions, believe it or not, in a poll and vote on them. It's a lot of fun, everyone gets to take part, it's really cool. Which reminds me I should bring back Subscriber Saturdays soon. Man, running a YouTube channel as an ADHD person is just a bad life decision. Let's just say that, a bad life decision. But anyway, so Wenslet, thank you to Wenslet, and thank you to everyone who voted on this. And if you want to take part in this next week, make sure you go to my Patreon and sign up. I can wait, that's fine. It's YouTube, actually. You can pause me. I'll be right here like this. So yes, thank you to Wenslet for picking this. BTS's comforting words to cheer you up. Technically crack, but hopefully it's BTS crack, so it's going to be like all deep and stuff, because I'm deep and moody as a person. Don't touch me, I haven't had my peanuts today. Oh yes, let's get this going. While we're raving to this fancy bunny swag intro, subscribe button's right down there. So subscribe. Anyway. Oh yeah, I also have a Twitter. If you like, you know, blisteringly good tweets posted about once a month or less, then that's the place to go. All my social media stuff's in the description, including the Patreon and Discord. Oh, this is loud. It's a loud crack video.
그냥 해야 됩니다. 그냥 생각 없이 그냥 하세요.
That is what I've been doing for most of my life.
그냥 하던 거를 그냥 계속.
Including reacting, just.
그러면 어느 순간 요렇게. 이거는 정말.
Oh, excuse me. I'm trying to be professional here, but it sounds like my rabbit has just destroyed another part of my house. 1 second. Bilbo, you can't get away from me. Bilbo, what are you doing? Guys, I caught the criminal red-handed and red-eyed. Look at this shit. Look at the guilt on his face. He knows. I don't know what he did yet, but something happened over there. I don't know if you can see him. He's probably like perfectly blending into my shirt, and he's shedding hair all over my desk. You cheeky bunny boy. You cheeky bunny boy. What have you done over there? I heard a very loud noise. Why are you so hench? Why such a massive hench bunny? He's like, put me down, bro. All right, boy. Just be careful, all right? I don't want you getting hurt. I got you insurance, but it's American insurance, so it's not great. Just be careful. I love you. Anyway, sorry about that. YouTube stuff.
그러면 어느 순간
Right, he was saying one day if you just continue doing not much, you'll realize you've grown, which is nice.
맞습니다. 뭐 슬럼프 극복을 위해서 뭔가를 막 이렇게 방법들이 있는 것 마냥 사람들은 이야기하는데 없어요. 그냥 하는 게 극복 방법입니다. 늘지 않는다고 좌절할 필요도 없고
Ooh, I should be taking notes here.
순간 늘어나 있을 겁니다. 저도 그랬어요.
And I do fundamentally agree with what he's saying. The problem is just for some people, I think it's always true. It's just like time is a finite resource, and sometimes it feels like the improvement is taking longer than you'd like. And obviously, it's like maybe like what kind of thing of a watched clock never boils, something like that. But I feel like if you are thinking about it too much, it doesn't help. But at the other time, if you look back on your life and you're like, I've kind of improved in the last 10 years, but not that much, then you're just like, oh, how long do I have to wait for this to become true? Although I know I'm not disagreeing with what he's saying. It's very, very true. I'm just impatient.
You don't want to study.
No, I don't want to study. I don't want to fucking study. I've graduated, man. I'm over it.
If you study by letting, by others, then you don't want to study. Like, I was the same, definitely. But if you have some typical, specific, field that you want to jump in, by yourself, then I'm sure that you will be, craving to study.
So in a way, I feel like what he's saying basically is like you should study, but then the more, which is like, anyone could say that, any angry parent can say that, but the reality is, I think what he said at the end is more pressing, more prescient, which is that if you find yourself studying by yourself on a certain subject, like if you find yourself doing music, if you find yourself researching about bean density in the Sahara or whatever topic you find yourself naturally drawn to. If you find yourself, like I kind of found myself, I did English university, and then but on the side I was making lots of videos and video editing, and it took me many years to realize, oh wait, this is the thing I should be doing. This is what I like doing. I like the video thing. I hate English. I'm only doing it because I got a good grade, which is why grades are kind of like, they're useful up to a certain point. Also, potentially traumatic and life destroying to certain children, but all they really tell you is that you're good at something, not that you enjoy it. There's a big difference between those things, and I think society doesn't place anywhere near enough value on the idea of enjoying stuff as well as being good at stuff. And usually if you do enjoy something, even if you aren't immediately good at it, that will come. Whereas you might be good at English as a kid. Like if I was still doing English now, I'd probably be terrible. Like if I don't know what jobs you can get with English. Sorry if you're a fellow English graduate, I'm sure you feel what I'm saying. Teaching English to another generation of disillusioned fools, but if you get good grades in English and then take it, but then you actually hate it, you're going to become a bad English person. Not like I'm a bad person from England. I mean, like a bad person. Like if you do anything and you lose a love for it and you hate it, you're not going to try. You're not going to care. Like his words are very sensible. Slightly incoherent, but very sensible. It's easy for you to say when you can afford a leather jacket. he's like a life coach or a therapist who skipped the revision. He skipped the exam, and he woke up late and he's like, oh Stephen, is it right? Oh, you got a problem? Wow, with your childhood, right? You think about it, find solutions. Keep going. Flick your hair as well, of course. Say good things, look good doing them. That's what I always say. I've had a few. Yeah? The man ain't wrong. What? Like gestated as a baby?
으면 좋겠지만 만약 조금이라도 괜찮지 않다면 저희가 온 마음을 다해 위로해드리고 싶습니다.
Can I just say, it's one thing to say this, which is a very nice, it's all you can say it's generic. I think it's all encompassing. That really he's saying no matter what issues you're going through, we support you. It's one thing to say that, a very nice statement, but to deliver it with these eyes, You know, like, I thought my eyes were blue, but my eyes are basically like the color of piss compared to his. It's something else, isn't it?
위로해드리고 싶습니다. 윤기 형이 섬 속에 갇힌 것 같다고 이야기했지만
I'm guessing this was during the pandemic, maybe, or just the social media age.
여기 한국이라는 나라 그리고 서울이라는 도시에 나를 이해해주는
Ooh, I just got the feels. TM.
있습니다. 우리 모두 각자 다른 환경에 살고 있고 다른 상황에 처해 있지만 적어도 이 순간만큼은 우리 다 같이 괜찮다라고
Especially, like, I don't know what it is. Even the hoop earrings, like his hoop earrings, his suit and tie. He's reminding me of like all the nice teachers I ever had. You know, the lady teachers, the hoops, the male teachers, the ties, the teachers I had crushes on the eyes, and all of it. Where did the audio go? Is that just me?
만큼은 우리 서로 위로해 주었습니다.
Okay, obviously what happened here, in case people also watch this and don't know how the ins and outs of YouTube is the person that made this video uploaded it and then, you know, maybe at the time and they were busy, or even just like at a later date they got a copyright flag on it so they couldn't monetize it, so then they realized, then they decided there's a thing on YouTube you can just click on it and say just trim out the audio of the section that is copyrighted, I think. And they were just like, yeah, that's fine, that's good enough. I've honestly thought about doing that before. I thought about just muting the parts of my audio that are copyrighted, but when you're making music reactions, it doesn't really work, does it? You can get away with it when it's subtitled like this. I'm actually devastated because I love V's voice. He's got such a lovely suit. He's like, I'm just going to imagine that V is saying this. He's like, no one can understand what you're going through. So I told myself not to hold back like I used to and struggle to keep my troubles to myself. There we go.
해드리고 싶은 말은 남이 힘든 일이 있다고 해서 자기가 힘든 일이 안 힘든 게 되는 게 아니잖아요. 그러니까 언제든지 힘들면 남들한테도 안 하기.
Yes. Oh.
많이
Oh, Jin.
봐주라라고
Yes.
꼭 얘기해 주시고요.
머릿속이 새하얗게 변해서
Wow. Jin, I feel like, I don't know if I've heard Jin talk too much about mental health stuff. You know, I typically think of like RM, Sugar, like they're the ones that, you know, they sing about it as well. And the interviews, I don't know. Like, I don't know what, I feel like this is coming out of left field for me, or maybe I haven't been paying attention to Jin enough, but like, this is a great thing to say because it's so easy when you first start navigating the world of like, you know, trauma or just depression, mental health, whatever it is, and sharing your issues with people. Like, that's the first hurdle I ever faced. The first hurdle I ever faced when in the depression world was, you know, I'd never dealt with depression before. I didn't understand it. And then I joined like back in the day, I guess it was like an AIM or like MSN chat group or something for depression. And I was talking to someone, and he was basically telling me that how his like, I think his like stepdad beat him, like his mother was abused, you know, this stuff that just like, and I think they were like financially struggling and all this stuff. And my immediate reaction was like, oh my God, I'm an idiot. I've got no problems at all. Like, my problems are nothing compared to this person's problems. But that's not how it works. Like, unless you have like some kind of personality disorder, if you're on a depression chat at like 2 a.m. because you feel sad, you probably have just as much right to be there as anyone else, regardless of your background. And you know, and it's not just the fact that everyone processes trauma differently, or some people have different depression tolerances, or any of that stuff. Like one of the, I guess, foundational things. It's just like construction happening. Anyway, one of the foundational things I found out at the at this trauma group I went to was that all trauma is the same. And I still don't know if it's not that I don't believe that, but it's like one of those things you hear it and you're like, oh, but, you know, like I've said this before in my videos, like I'm insecure to the point where I'm insecure at my trauma. I'm like, oh, my trauma's not as good as other people's. My trauma's weak. But that's the thing they told me at this group. There's no such thing as like more powerful trauma. Like trauma affects the brain in the same ways. And even to the point they said sometimes it's the opposite of what you'd expect. Or, you know, they said that emotional abuse can actually have more effect on the brain's development and other types of abuse. But the point is, you know, this idea that like one form of trauma is more valid or one form of depression or struggle is more valid, it's not true. Like, as long as you aren't talking over people, as long as you're willing to, I think my baseline is, I think you have to be willing to listen to other people as much as they listen to you. So if you spend an hour telling somebody about your problems, you should be willing to listen to them about their problems for an hour. And if you aren't, then you should think about why that is. But otherwise, 100% what Jin has said.
남들한테도 안 하. 힘이 들다. 나 좀 많이 봐주고 위로해줘라라고 언제든지 꼭 얘기해주시고요.
머릿속이 새하얗게 변해서 더 이상 앞으로 나가기 어려워지기도 하고요.
How poetic.
작업을 하는
Imagine if you were his therapist, you'd be like,
그럴 때 그래도 딱 한 번만 더 라는 생각이 저를 일으켜 세울 때가 많습니다. 나 자신을 한번 믿어보는 거죠. 완벽하지 않아도 처음보단 두 번째, 두 번째보단 세 번째 더 나아지는 것을 보며 주저앉지 않기를 잘했다고 생각하게 됩니다.
I like that. I like the justice once moniker, the justice once. I mean, in a way, it's almost like lying to your brain, because if you come back to the justice once thing a lot, then you probably, by definition, have lied to yourself. But I think it is like, I don't know, the human psyche is fascinating, and there's myriad ways of addressing stuff, but it's just like picking one way of pulling yourself out of that slump, you know? It's like that famous old saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And the single step might just be convincing yourself to get out of bed, or convincing yourself to try something, and convincing Bilbo to stop eating my cables. Bilbo, what is it today? Why is it just when I'm filming this is happening? Do you want me to pick you up again? You're so cute.
배려 그런 게 있어야 이 사람이 사람과 통하고 가까워질 수 있고 하나가 될 수 있다.
남들의 기준에 꼭 맞추.
I mean, facts, but I think the thing, my take on that is that apparently that's a most replayed section, is Jungkook saying this, which is interesting. It's nice and quick to digest. But my thing on that is that I feel like the biggest divide in society isn't between necessarily, well, I was going to say rich or poor, but it could be reflected in that. But, you know, I don't know, black or white, you know, race, heritage, which football team you support, any of that stuff. I think the biggest divide really in society that honestly defines most things that people get up in arms about is whether people have empathy or not. And I guess I don't know if empathy is like fully learned, fully environmental, or fully genetic. I think it's probably a factor of both. But at the end of the day, I'm not saying this message is irrelevant, because this message does apply to people who are kind of on the borderline, because I think empathy is a spectrum, of course, which is why you can have empaths and psychopaths at the other end. So I think this message is useful for people who are sort of more in the middle, or sort of more, you know, slightly over the middle, need to hear this and be reminded, you know, take that little shred of empathy you have and run with it, you know, make it work. But there are some people where you could tell this stuff to them a million times and it will never change anything, sadly. That's not me saying don't say it, but I feel like societal you know, issues should be looked at more through the lens of like, how could we help people get empathy? I don't know if the answer is like, you know, it's like medicine or something. I don't know. I think empathy is a foundation of society, and everyone needs to have some. Even just because for the fact that not having empathy, you know, it ruins your quality of life. I think it's sad to not have any empathy.
막 너무 항상 보면 꿈을 가져라라는 말도 많이 하고 뭐 그러는데. 굳이 뭐 다들 그렇게 막 되게 치열하게 살 필요는 없는 것 같고.
Agreed.
치열하게 살지 않는 것 같아도 치열하게 사는 분들이 있거든요. 뭐 어떤 식으로. 그래서 막 너는 좀 치열하게 살아야 돼. 너는 막 꿈이 없어. 그런 말 들으면서 너무 그런 말 들으시는 분들이 있다면 너무 기죽지 마시고, 뭐 그게 진리가 아니에요. 그 말 하는 사람도 자기가 뭘 하고 싶은지 아니면 뭘 하고 있는지 정확히 모를 가능성이 굉장히 높습니다.
Yeah, he's into that. Projection's a huge thing. Oftentimes, if you find somebody telling you something and it's completely unprovoked, you haven't asked their opinion, they've walked up to you at the bus stop and said, you should have more dreams, the chances are that person feels that way about themselves. And rather than address it head on, it's easy to sort of share that anxiety with somebody else.
열심히 건강하고 행복하게 저처럼 여러분들도 여러분들의 또 그런 것들을 찾으시면.
If it's being an incredibly handsome person in a boy band, do that.
부정타라고 하는 소리가 아니에요. 그냥 만약에 정말 만약에 결과가 좋지 않더라도 사실상 그렇게 막 낙담을 할 필요는 없어.
Especially if you're like 18 and under. That exam means nothing in the rest of your life, almost guaranteed.
같겠지만 자기가 원하는 결과가 아니면 무너질 것 같겠지만 그러지 않습니다. 삶은 그러지 않아요.
Thank God exams are like microspecs in the chasm that is your life.
많았던 것 같아요.
Obviously that's horrible at the time.
사랑한다는 게 스스로한테 질문을 많이 던지고 저에 대해서 좀 더 알아가는 게 저를 사랑하는 거에 대한 뭔가 시작 같은 건 것 같아요. 저한테 질문을 많이 던지고 또 어떻게 하면 제가 더 행복해질 수 있는지에 대해서 고민을 많이 하면
My problem is, what if you ask yourself a question and you is being a dick and doesn't want to reply? That's happened to me before.
졸업을 앞두고 앞으로 뭘 해야 할지 뭐 잘 보이지 않아 힘든 분들이 있다면 한번 여러분의 진심에 기대어 보세요. 지금은 조금 힘들어도 그 끝자락 어딘가엔 기회와 행운이 기다리고 있지 않을까요? 저는 그렇게 믿고 있습니다.
그리고 이렇게 행복을 느낄 수 있는 건 어제도 말했지만 진짜 공식 같은 부분이죠. 다음이 여러분들이 있었기에 지금 이 자리에 설 수 있었던 것 같아요. 네. 진짜 너무너무 감사드리고 근데 아미와 함께라면 그 목표도 이룰 수 있을 것 같아요. 진짜 네. 정말 감사드리고 사랑합니다.
자기가 스스로 꿈을 만들어야지 뭔가 주위의 강요에 의해서 그 꿈을 못 만들게 되면은 참 마음이 아픈 것 같아요.
At this kind of stage,
Yeah, short and sweet.
it is no one's fault. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's not our fault. It's not anyone's fault. And we're the people, and we're the humans. We're just doing our best. We're just doing what we can do. And, you know, we have those 6-7 years. You know, we've been to America, we've been to Asia, we've been to everywhere, and we saw our faces, we felt our energy, we charged each other's batteries. We literally did all those kinds of things. And I believe in those years and the time, you know, the belief and the energy that we built together will never betray us. So, I'm happy, and I hope.
This is almost foreshadowing, or it's got some overlap, I guess, with some of the stuff you were saying in the festa, I feel like, you know.
Now, and feel the same and vibe that we're doing right now, like together. I hope you're happy and stay safe. Thank you very much. I love you.
What a big kiss. He doesn't kiss small, he's like, bleh. I unleashed this kiss energy upon you.
여러분들한테 꿈이 없어도 행복하면 됩니다라는 말을 한 적이 있는데 상은 꿈을 꾸는 법을 가르쳐 준 적도 없.
And the founding truth of that statement, the statement that dreams aren't necessarily being happy is enough, that most people that make all these crazy dreams or do all this stuff, what they're really doing is looking for this bit, the happiness. They're just putting all of their eggs in one basket for happiness. And I'm 100% guilty of doing that. You know, this YouTube thing is evidence of that right now. Like, I definitely, like, my mental health seems to ride on, you know, the algorithm almost. But I think I have actually worked a bit on that recently. But the people like me who are slightly disturbed, had a difficult upbringing, and end up being like, I shall show the world, I shall become a YouTuber, I shall become a politician, often is because they have to, you know, their happiness as kids, it wasn't guaranteed. It was always conditional, and maybe even people respecting them or loving them was conditional. So therefore, they think happiness is conditional. Happiness doesn't have to be conditional, or it doesn't have to be conditional upon these wild dreams that, you know, that aren't guaranteed. Like, you don't need to be rich, famous, anything like that to be happy. Which is why often the richest and most famous people are the least happy of all of us.
꿈을 꾸는 법을 가르쳐 준 적도 없지만 항상 경쟁을 유도하고.
It's true.
말 이런 걸 보면은 끊임없이 노력하는 사람이.
I'm not even sure I know what an axiom is. Either this is like the most fancy translator in the world, or Jin's just like spitting a thesaurus at me.
잘 된다 이런 말이 있잖아요. 저는 애초에 실력에 만족한 적도 없고 그렇기 때문에 저는 계속해서 꾸준히 노력을 해야 된다고.
본인 아디오 고생한 자신에게 한마디. 그래, 진아. 너는 정말 수고를 많이 했고 앞으로도 수고를 굉장히 많이 할 테지만 너의 수고 내가 알고 있으니까 너의 수고는 너 자신만 알면 돼. 그래, 앞으로도 화이팅.
예를 들면 꽃이 이렇게 두 개가 있으면은
I like that sentence a lot. Wow. Only you have to know how hard you work. That just reframed my whole life for me in one sentence. Because I feel like when you're self-employed, like I technically am, you do very much have this insecurity, like, do I work enough? Or like, you know, because your routine's different, it's set by yourself. Oh, I started work at 12 today. Does that mean I'm a slob? Like, it's just silly stuff like that. And then you might feel the need to justify yourself or tell people like, oh yeah, like I run a YouTube, but I upload like 5 videos a day. Like no one says to you like, oh, I'm a lawyer, and you go, okay, but how much do you work? Like no one who says to you like I'm a lawyer or I'm a teacher feels the need to be like, and by the way, I work like 90 hours a week. I mean, the idea that you need to work X amount to be a person anyway is wrong in the first place, but it's the idea that for certain people or certain professions, you feel the need to justify the amount of work you do, and that's nonsense. Like, no one else needs to know that, and I don't even mean in the way of like no one else needs to be nosy about it. I mean you shouldn't, and when I say you, I'm talking about myself right now. You shouldn't feel the need to tell people how much you work, or to hint at what you work, or say that you upload videos. Like either they can assume stuff about you or they can't. But more importantly, the foundation of that is people should believe in themselves. Like don't doubt your achievements, don't doubt the work you do. You know deep down if you work or not. And I realized this a while ago, and I still haven't quite, I guess, compartmentalized it into my life. But I think it's that sort of, there's a very thing that I think is quite common with ADHD and often disorders, and often, especially if you had a typical, difficult upbringing, bad parent figures or bad teachers and stuff, where you have this word thrown at you, lazy, and there are all kinds of reasons people might not work as hard as others, and everyone works a different amount. But laziness is not the same thing as not working so much, or not working beyond your capacity. You know what I mean? I think there probably are people out there that genuinely are lazy, and even I've got no judgment for those people. Like I don't think, people only think that's harmful because of society has told us that you have to break your back working to be a person. But I think most people who are called lazy are just people who can't meet certain expectations because they don't fit into that box society has made for them. But usually those people aren't lazy, because to me, laziness is when you just don't want to do something. You're like, I can't be bothered. I really don't want to. I don't care. Usually the people who are called lazy, or the people who are most anxious about being lazy, are the ones who care so much about it. They just can't meet other people's standards, so they're made to feel bad for not meeting those standards. But nobody's standards should be the same. Everyone should have different standards because everyone's different.
이 꽃이 있고 이 꽃이 있고 둘 다 아름다운데 이 꽃만 아름답다고 할 수 없듯이 이 부분의 화양연화에 저의 좋은 점, 즐거운 점이 있었다면, 밝은 점이 있었다면 이 꽃만의 또 새로운 매력이 있다고 생각해요. 그래서 저는 무섭지만 그래도 저에게 또 다른 화양연화가 찾아오지 않을까라는 생각.
걱정이야. 뭐 누구든지 있을 수 있죠. 뭐 굉장히 큰 걱정이 있을 수도 있고.
Was recorded in a pigeon's stomach.
수 있겠지만 그 다음 순간으로 지나가는 행복함을 또 느끼잖아요.
그리고 뭐 가끔 위버스 같은 거 봐도
Dramatic sip.
이제 되게 슬픈 일들을 그냥 뭐 저희한테 슬픔을 주시려고 그런 목적이 아니라 이게 슬픔 뭐 나누면 반이 되잖아요. 그래서 그런 어떤 슬픈 사연, 뭐 본인이 어떤 일이 있었고 최근에 뭐 어떤 게 슬프고 이런 게 그렇다라는 그것들을 봤을 때 우리가 느끼는 그런 감정들, 그러니까 우리가 지금 공연장에 서서 우리와 이 사람이 되게 신나는 노래로 같이 교감하고 있을지언정 우리가 늘 좋은 상태로 그게 그렇게 하는 건 아니잖아요. 그 순간이 그럴지라도. 그래서 네가 지었던 그 표정이 아니었구나 라는 깨달음에서 되게 시작을 했고, 웃는 게 아니야 라는 뭐 그 옛날 노래처럼.
Yep. Like they could be in that tiny microcosm, that tiny moment in time. They might smile for the camera or smile at the fans, or like they get a bit of boost from the energy of the performance. But then right afterwards they could, if they've been in a difficult time in their lives, they could fall back into feeling sad again. And also it's that, I think I've talked about this before, but it's the idea that you can take a picture with friends and smile, or you could be with friends and they can tell a joke and you could laugh, and deep down you might feel like you're just laughing to fit in, or laughing because it's funny, but if you didn't actually get the nice feelings that should accompany the laugh. It doesn't mean the laugh is fake, but it also doesn't mean that when you look at that picture you might not realize, oh well, wow, I looked happy on that day, but I remember I wasn't. Like, it's, emotions are complex, and and also expressing them, and what emotions you choose to share and what emotions you choose not to share is also another complex issue.
스스로에게 하는 얘기이기도 하고, 근데 저의 입장에서는 저는 그냥 여러분들이 해주시는 되게 각자의 아픔들, 쏟아진 아픔들이죠. 그래서 쏟아진 아픔들이 이걸 내가 다 어떻게 안을 수 있을까? 다 안을 수는 있을까?
Yeah.
아니면 뭐
Right, I don't think it's possible, especially when you've got millions of fans.
작은 인간이 한낱 작은.
Right, you can. I think for somebody like him, I mean, I have this with like 12,000 followers where I start feeling like, oh, I can't reply to all these comments, and that's just a fact of life after a while. But it doesn't mean you can't support everyone and wish the best of them, as a whole. But it's just like, obviously, and not about me here, about this guy. He's not going to be able to read every single comment people leave for him. He literally, that time doesn't work that way. He's not. He'd have to be a god.
대한 스스로에 대한 의문이고 고백.
Well, the answer's yes. The answer's yes, by the way.
색깔의 뜻이 뭔지 아세요?
보라색이요.
빨주노초 파란보의 보라색이 마지막 색깔이잖아요. 제 보라색은 상대방을 믿고 서로 오랫동안 사랑하자라는 의미인데요.
Respect. Big time respect. Is this the origin of Borahai?
맞아요. 자연스러웠어요. 나 진짜인 줄 알았어. 잘했어요. 멤버도 숨기다니.
이게 근데 저는 그 뜻처럼 영원히 오랫동안.
Wait, so is this real? Is this really the origin? Is the origin of I Purple You a Vism? Because that makes me love V's Visms even more.
뭐 그럼에도 항상 새롭게 배워 나가는 게 있더라고요. 그래서 지금의 저는 나를 믿고 멤버들을 믿고 세상을 믿으면서 지금 이 자리에 멤버들과 함께 서 있습니다. 그러니까 여러분들도 앞으로 여러분들을 위해서 한 걸음씩 나아가고 끊임없이 달려가셨으면 좋겠습니다.
아니요, 포기하지 마세요. 본인의 확고한 꿈.
It's easy for you to say don't give up. You look like a man who's in a hair salon and the hair salonist has given up on him. He's left you abandoned halfway.
It's a mess. Anyways, I hope I'll see you in the next video. I love you.
Cheers, thanks. Dang. Okay. Great video. Thank you very much, Bunny Swag. If you want to watch the original, it's in the description. As always, a link to it. Yeah, fantastic video. I think something I noticed over the course of this video is, it's something I've not thought about before, is that they're all great people with really great and wise things to say. I think that's why I trust them as a band. Like I just like their message, and I feel like they all kind of share that similar core tenet of goodness, goodosity, Like I'm pretty sure they all said some very, very wise things in that video. I don't think there was a single member that wasn't in that compilation. And that's crazy. There's 7 of them, people. That's a lot of human beings. A lot of people to be in one group. Like usually if you have a friend group of 7 people, you have like 2 idiots in it, 1 dickhead usually. Like this is 7 people who are very, very wise with very, very nice, wholesome, good and honest things to say, which is great. That's the reason I like reacting to them. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that reaction. I know I did, and that's all that matters. But if you did enjoy it, please do click the subscribe button, the little red subscribe button down there. And also, when you're down there, look in the description and please go and check out my Patreon and sign up there if you want to support my channel. Like I said, I've got Run BTS, Bon Voyage reactions on there. There's like 50 exclusive reactions on there, I think. I got early access to all of my videos and the Patreon for Thursdays thing, which this was. Did you enjoy it? Please also check out my Discord down there and please leave me a comment, suggest some future reactions, let me know what you thought of the video, let me know what you thought of their comments, all that good stuff. I like talking to you guys. I like seeing the discussions in my comments. So yes, thank you very, very much for watching. I hope this helped you. It helped me, so hopefully helping me helps you. It's reciprocal. Please have a lovely, lovely day. I'll be seeing you soon. Take care, and remember, if you like this reaction to BTS being comforting, then please subscribe. Oh, and by the way, that noise earlier was when my bunny lost his bun fitting.